Time this morning to hear from another one of our experts from Allied Cooperative on our Allied Cooperative program. Jason Berdan joins us now, Livestock Production Specialist, covers a lot of territory for Allied Cooperative, from Wyawega, Fremont to the Hickston, West Salem area in western Wisconsin. And Jason, when we talk to these dairy farmers, we always talk about milk production and what the milk price is, but there are some things they can do as far as components to make that price just a little bit better. Butterfat, milk components. What are some of the things you talk to producers about to increase those milk components as far as their feeding and taking care of those cattle?
So, Bob, this year we've had a lot of interesting things, and one of my producers says 2024 will not be one for the record book, more for the yearbook. And if you look nationally, milk production has softened by about 0.5% on the liquid production side, but cheese yield, which Wisconsin is known for our wonderful cheeses, has increased by about 3.5%. So where is that production coming from to make up that difference in loss in fluid? And one of the things that we've been focusing on, and everybody's been focusing on, is how do we get more butterfat? How do we get more milk protein? And butterfat has been long associated with a healthy rumen and good cud chewing and good eating time and making sure I've got that same boring feed going in those cows at the same boring time. But one of the things that we've started to utilize more, and it's common in the industry, is we're looking at some of those protected methionines. We're looking at, there's a huge buzz about the different types of fats that go into these cows every day that help create this butterfat that our cheese factories are looking for. And at 90 pounds of milk, we start looking at these common prices, and 1 point of butterfat is worth 27 cents, and 1 point of protein is worth 21. But one thing that I like to remind my producers as we're working through this is everything we do in any industry is based on return on investment. And are we chasing a number, Bob, or are we chasing something that's actually going to have a positive ROI for our producers?
And return on investment, of course, is what we're looking for. So what are we doing as far as increasing the butterfat and the milk protein in there? As far as, we start with homemade feeds, but what other additives? What are we all doing to make it a complete package?
So we're going to start with those homemade feeds like you suggested. We're going to look at that NDFD 30-hour is a common number that we look at here through the Purina Allied system. And then we're also going to monitor our starches and how that starch digestibility is breaking down in that rumen and how it's interacting to those cows. We're also going to monitor our sugars. There's a lot of nice response from lots of producers are using whey, which is coming right back from those cheese factories. But then also the old bicarb, there's some other products on the market that have also been helping unlock some of these butterfats and helping push these to a new level.
Now we're into springtime. We're into March here, and we get weather. Everything's different. What about seasonality of using this and effectiveness of these different feed additives, for lack of a better term?
So when we talk about seasonality, one of the things that we always have seen historically is those starches and those corn silages and high moisture corns break down really nicely right at fermentation, but you also see a secondary boost about Christmas time. I always call it our Christmas present. You get a nice little bump of milk, but also there's a third one that starts kicking in at about 180 days post-fermentation, and we're just starting to hit that here as we enter into these spring seasons. One of the biggest, easiest things we can do is can we take some of that starch energy out, some of that corn, and replace it with some sugar or possibly some soy hulls, or just back in a little bit more forage and to make up that difference in energy. And we just want to make sure that those cows are ruminating correctly, especially as we start entering into the heat stress models of the summer. Purina's got a new product coming out on the market here soon, and it's going to have some really cool effects on these cows and how they are ruminating and holding butterfat in the summer.
Jason, when you talk face-to-face with farmers right now, as we get March, April, May, into the spring flush, quote-unquote, what are the points 1, 2, and 3 that you're really emphasizing of the stuff we just talked about?
So a cow's muzzle is 2.5 inches, 3 inches wide, and we want to make sure we've got adequate forage going in there, adequate length. So that's kind of always our biggest thing. Bunkers were a little bit emptier than we would have liked last fall when we got done harvesting. So we got to be watching out on what our forage contribution is into those rations. The third thing is we're looking at is making sure that we're backing that starch down as that feed becomes more readily available for those high-producing Holstein cows or even Jersey cows.
So make sure you talk to your livestock production specialist. A lot to think about now as far as that ration is concerned to increasing your return on investment. Jason Berdan, one of those guys that can help you, livestock production specialist with Allied Cooperative. Hey, Jason, good to talk to you.
Thanks much, Bob. Always, always, it was a pleasure.
You bet. Jason Berdan, livestock production specialist on our Allied Cooperative program.